Hey folks, I've just received the brand new Behringer UB-Xa Mini. In this video I would like to invite you to explore it with me. So let me unbox it and then we can take a look together. Intro. The Behringer UB-Xa Mini is not just another smaller and stripped down version of a vintage synth. We already had the full-size UB-Xa, which I reviewed when it was released. In my opinion, the big one is a nice, affordable, polyphonic analog synth with plenty of white, creamy Oberheim character. So let's find out if the mini version sounds as good, and let's see what we can do with it. Okay, so here's the walk around. I invite you to discover the new UB-Xa Mini together with me as I just took it out of the box. And the first thing you will see that all the pots are turned to the left. So when you start a sequence over MIDI, of course you won't hear much. If you want to hear something, maybe you will have to open the filter. And to hear the waveform, we will open the release. Yeah, so let's see what it brings us. So here on the far left side you have different play modes. So this is the poly mode, that means that you hear just one oscillator. I think that it has 3 oscillators. So the next mode is uni. So here of course you hear that it's unisono. Here this is the octave switch. Here we have a 5th interval. This should be ring modulator maybe. And here is ring poly, so let's see what it does later on. For a start I go back to poly. So of course we have different waveforms. This is a classic sawtooth. Then you have the square wave, and just like as with the big UB-Xa, you can also mix both waveforms in one oscillator. Yeah, so the next thing we will find here in this oscillator section is the LFO speed. So let's dial it up and we'll go back to the square wave and let's see what the PWM does. And you can also modulate the frequency, so the pitch. And then, of course, if you like the super saw, you will like the detune button. But of course the detune button can't work on just one oscillator, so you have to select the unisono mode here. And now we'll dial in the detune. Okay, so the next thing we find here is the filter section, and here of course we have the frequency of the filter. And here we have the resonance. What I like here is that even with a high resonance, the bass is still present. Then of course we have the envelope modulation. And of course you can modulate the filter here with the LFO. And here, of course, as you might have seen, the envelope. This is nice because it has a full set with attack, decay, sustain and release. And it acts nicely on the filter. So yeah, here on the left side we have the switch for the octave of the oscillator, but this only works in the internal mode when you're playing via this little keyboard here. I think it sounds best in this bass range. So of course, if you switch to poly, you have kind of 3 voices, but it's not a real 3-voice polyphony. It's just a paraphonic mode, as on all the other minis too. But, you know. Yeah, another function that you can use here with the Mini keyboard is, of course, the sequencer. So to record, you press the red one. Yeah, so this isn't terrible. And of course you can use the Mini keyboard also to select 4-pole mode for the filter. So hold Funk and select this one. Yeah, and another thing you can select here is the waveform of the LFO. So here it's still the same. If you want the square waveform, an example. Or the saw. Yeah, you select it just like this. Back to sine. And yeah, so otherwise you have this little headphone jack here, so be prepared to have the right cable to connect it. Yeah, and then we have analog sync in and out. So this comes handy if you want to sync the internal sequencer with your drum machine, analog drum machine, like the RD9 or the RD8. And we have a fully grown up MIDI in here. And of course MIDI works also with the USB. Yeah, another nice thing also here with the LFO that you have the trigger sync. So if you have selected this, the LFO always starts in the same position and it's not running through permanently. Yeah, this is also a very nice detail. Yeah, so let's have a look at those ring modulator settings. What does this do? Yeah, so this is it with UB-Xa. So let's see what I think about and what I can recommend you. Conclusion. This mini version of the Behringer UB-Xa sounds quite fat, isn't it? So far, this mini has been the most entertaining and convincing for my taste. I don't know why, but in this case I prefer it to the JT Mini, despite being myself more Camp Roland. Compared to the JT Mini, the selection of different oscillator settings makes all the difference and extends the range of sounds that can be created. Playing it paraphonic with its 3 voices allows chords. However, I also find that it sounds far better in the lower register than in the higher octaves. On the other hand, it lacks an arpeggiator. To be honest though, I would always recommend using an external arpeggiator like the one in Ableton or this one here that I still need to review. The ability to sync the internal sequencer with an analog trigger from your drum machine is also a nice feature. Of course, I'm always happy to see a full-size MIDI in jack, which gets my pulse racing at 160 BPM. On the downside, I have to say that mini jacks for the audio output always annoy me. The connection is always a bit flimsy. The touch-sensitive keyboard is the last thing I would use to play something. But if studio real estate is limited, this is still better than nothing. All in all, for 99 red air balloons, you can catch a glimpse of mighty analog bass sounds to beef up your bedroom productions. If you run it through a preamp, you'll see that it sounds like a synthesizer for grown-ups. And as always, there's an affiliate link to Thomann down in the description if you would like to purchase one of these or any of the other products that I review on this channel. There are no additional costs for you, but I will receive a nice little commission that will be instantly reinvested in this channel. I hope this video has given you a good overview of the Behringer UB-Xa Mini and that I've sparked your interest in this little machine. That's all for now, so let's see what gear will be released next for review on Wine&Synths. So don't forget to like and to subscribe. All the best, peace and au revoir!